And by that, I mean, are all the other campus students wearing black with neon green hair and walking around talking to themselves? If they are, okay, then, okay, it's not deviant to the culture. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
But he's getting there for this thing, okay, that's all. But then he started like kissing the air. And eventually he just started like hugging and kissing the air. Back to him, it's a deep really over.
See, here's the thing. And that's a very good observation, because there's a lot of psychological disorders that mimic other things, medical disorders, and vice versa. Okay. Does anyone know anyone who has an enlarged thyroid? No? Okay, in the back, okay. Everything has to be checked out, because it looks like it mimics, it masks depression. It looks like depression on the outside. But when we send them to see their primary care physician, they do blood draws and things like that, and then come to find out they have low levels, high levels, whatever. Then they're put on medication because it's a thyroid issue. So we have to be careful of how we take a look at people, diagnose them. I train students to become clinical psychologists. I give them just enough information. I teach them just enough that they are dangerous to themselves and to others, because they are not properly trained all the way. This is just scratching the surface. And they don't know a lot yet. Okay, it takes years, it takes internships, practicums, dissertation, all that other kind of stuff. So when we take a look at that definition, remember that. Dysfunctional. What's another one? Distracting. So I heard what you're saying. Deviant to one's culture. Because we call anything that we don't like deviant, just because we don't like it. Well, she got blue hair today, well, that's deviant. Exactly, it's a fact. But now, so taking a look at those things, knowing what mental illness is. Okay. So now let's take a look at what is mental health. What does that mean? Because we know what mental illness is. But what about mental health? Let me put it this way. What do you do to take care of yourself so you don't go crazy?
Self-care.
Rest, self-care, what else? Diet, exercise, sleep, journaling. Thank you, pray. Now here's the thing. What happens when somebody comes into your study and says, Pastor, I've been seeing things, and I don't know if they're real or not, what do we do? We pray, we pray, we lay hands on. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because we need it. All right. But if that's the only thing we're doing, that's not helping that person with those voices they're hearing. There's meditation for that. So there, let's take a look at, oh, here we go. All right. Has anybody in here ever been broke? Stand across. You're broke is broke. Good pay ball. I love it. He was broken. Okay. Oh, my sisters, we got the high today. Here's the thing. as we can talk about these kinds of issues, we have to become educated about them so we can help the people that we serve. I'm not asking you to run out and be a therapist in your congregation. That's beyond the scope of your duties.
Amen.
Okay? But I am saying be aware. What? Why do I want you to be aware? Say that again.
You can't be helpful if you don't know.
You don't know what you're dealing with. Killing.
But eventually one another, that's.
Absolutely. I had a good friend who passed recently, and she would always say, she said, well, Dr. J, if you don't know, you just don't know. Just don't know. But we cannot, as an organism, as an entity that we are, stay in the place where we are. We've got to be able to be willing, okay? We've got to be willing to learn. Okay? Because otherwise, we don't know what to do when that person walks into your office. When I was going through my clinical training, I'll never forget this one. But I had to interview a patient because I was doing a hospital internship. Interview a patient. I went up to the floor. Well, they said, so-and-so wants to see. Why don't you go to the floor and see him? I said, okay, so I went up there. And she was into one of her psychotic episodes. And she looked at me and she said, they told me that you would understand this. And she ripped her blouse open. And I'm like, no, I don't understand that. But I stood there with my head down. And she said, look at me. She said, this right here. She had a marking on her chest. She said, they told me that because you're part Native American, you would understand this. And I looked at it again. Because she had the marking of what we call in Native American culture, a water bird. And it was real. It was there. She sent me a 10-page dossier on what she went through. She had gone out into the fields or something, fell out in the field and had this hallucination where she saw all these angels coming and they marked her and all this kind of thing. Well, then she sent for me another time. And she was really in a bad state. And so I had to go behind closed doors with her and lock the door because of how she was. They teach you, or we're taught as clinical psychologists, is that you don't ever want to separate, or put the patient or the client, in a place where they can't leave. Okay. They need to be able to get out for some of the things that Reverend Stacy talked about, your protection as well as their protection. So she came in and she was, this tiger and all over the place and was talking about this, that, and the other. And she said, I want to see a real doctor. I hadn't graduated yet. So I wasn't a real doctor yet. I want to see a real doctor. And she started escalating. And I was saying, well, I got to get out of here. I don't know what's going on here, but I got to get out of here. Sorry, but I ain't going through the week. But I was able to, to talk with her and that sort of thing. And the supervisors were watching me on the other side of the little glass window. And so I locked the door, she left. And I'm standing there shaking all over talking about, why didn't y'all come in and do something? And they said, well, it was part of it is that we need to see that you can handle it. So, they needed to see that I, at the intern, could handle the environment. So it worked out all right. But you have to be, cognizant, especially when you're in your study, is to be very cognizant about how your office is set up, how it's situated. Make sure there's room between, them, you in the sense of your desk perhaps is there behind the desk, the chairs in front. that they can escape, that they can get out, and that you don't get hurt. Okay, so that's one. So now, as we talk about a financial problem, real problem, there's something my grandmother used to say. And I had asked you if you'd ever been broke. Hands up, okay. I've been broke. I have been broke. I've been broker than broke. My broke's been broke. To the point that one time I went on general assistance. I wasn't working, I was in between jobs and going to school and things like that. So I had to survive. But I've also, what my grandmother used to say, eaten high off the hog. Amen. Yeah. Eaten high off the hog. And so I've been in both places. And I believe that many of us have been there too. We've been really good, we've been able to afford some of those niceties that we've been wanting, but yet, maybe we struggled as well. We're going to talk about what's the link between mental health and finances. And we're going to talk about how you cope. And then if we have time, we'll do a little scenario. So now, let's talk for a minute about now, one more, right here. Now, if you look at this slide, tell me, what are some things that concern you? And I say concern, I don't want to say worry. Because the word tells us not to worry about it. We are human. Family, okay? What else? What do you worry about? Be concerned about? Finances, what? Politics? Family? Anything else? Death? All of the above. Okay. Well, in a recent poll, a study that taken a look at all this, 76% said finances. Finances worry them, concern them the most. Why? We live in a land of milk and honey. No, we don't. Go from $1 million a year job to homeless. Okay, so those kinds of things. Finances are the number one thing that most people worry about or concerned about. Okay. Tell me, why would a 20-something-year-old who just graduated from college be worried about finances?
Yeah.
Just graduated, student loans, can't find a job in your field. Gotta move back from mom and dad. What's that? That's it exactly. Some kids can't, or don't want to, won't. That sort of thing. So absolutely. Now, take someone my age. I don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing this. I'm gonna be 70 years old this year. Appreciate you. What might I be worried about? Social Security, every time that thing is right there. Okay, what else? Price of food? Healthcare, medication, absolutely. Anything else?
Your personal security.
Personal security, absolutely. Okay, what else?
Worry about that.
Aging, okay. I'll be 70, I wonder when I'll make it to 75. I'm gonna make it to 80, 85, whatever the case is. But I'll tell you what I was concerned about was retirement. Okay, I retired in 2020. Do I have enough in my, my plan to carry me through, the next 15, 20 years? In the event I live that long? Or am I gonna have to go get a part-time job as a greeter at Walmart or something? They do. Retirement, personal security. Yeah, I love that. That was what you tell people what you need about personal security.
I'm an old person. There are younger people out here trying to take advantage of me. Whether somebody pushes up on me, snatches my purse, kicks in the door to my house, I'm here by myself. The dog is old too and can't bark at life.
Absolutely. This is the good one. You know, we're talking about modern technology and things like that. I have a friend who works for, you know, Department of Education. And she was telling, she takes me a phone call. And she was telling me that someone had called her and had reported that they think they had been scammed, but they weren't sure. She proceeded to ask them the proper questions. Did you give them any information? Well, yeah, I gave my address, my phone number, my social security number. Exactly, gave them all the information. Now, there's an opportunity now for somebody to make a loan in her name, and that sort of thing. So we have to worry about those kinds of things. When we think we are protected, we're not really. Now think about the kind of stresses that can impact psychologically from those kinds of situations. I retired and I thought, okay, well, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be able to travel the way I wanna travel, go to places I wanna go, and then COVID hit. That in itself was a modern day psychological stressor. People didn't know what to do. I said, oh yeah, I'm going on vacation, all right. I'm gonna walk from my back door to my front door. Because that's all I did. That's it. That's all I can do. That's the only place I can go. So those kinds of things. We talked about some of the definitions already, but financial crisis, you know, that's what it's called nowadays. When we're not able to pay our bills, financial crisis. We might have had a 6-figure salary. COVID hit, what happened then? Gone. You didn't have a job where you could work from home. You were laid off. So now, there you are, no money to pay your bills, and you got that fancy car, and you just bought a Tesla. I don't know how much a Tesla costs. But you got a fancy car, you got a brand new house, you're getting ready to, you know, plan for your children's college education and things like that, but you got nothing now. Now what do? Go to work. Yes. No. People get angry, they blame you. Some people complete suicide. They kill themselves because they value their worth by the things they had, the job they had, the car they had, the house they had, all that kind of stuff. Now they don't have it. And so some people kill themselves. So now let's take a look at who's in debt. Back in my day when I was a youngster, it was keeping up with the Joneses. Those were the people who were in debt. I'll tell you a funny story. I used to live in this part of town, very quiet part of town. And the neighbor across the street, holidays came. We like to decorate our yards. I put a little Christmas tree up outside, and the lights on, which she went and got a bigger tree. Put the lights on, decorated, put it in her yard. Look at that. And what I will do, I'll put some lights around the fence. So I'm mad at some lights around the fence. What'd she do? She put some lights on the fence. Okay, I'm gonna have lights put on my house. I did that. What'd she do? What house, yeah, with lights on. So that kept on going, but I can't remember what the last thing was I did. But guess who won? I did. It was a keeping up with the Joneses, surpassing. Did I go into debt for that? Praise the Lord, I didn't, but very easily could have. Because the minimum anymore to do something like that, have your house decorated, $1,500. Now that was 5 years ago, I don't know what it is now. So that kind of thing.
So if we see a lot of that, I think an annual cost. Somebody say they raised this much money, this much behind, that they raise more fund.
Say yes, that can indeed happen. So that's in the old days, the folks who were in debt. Who are the folks in debt now, today?
Everybody.
Everybody, but more predominantly among the younger population because of things like student loan payments. Can't afford to move out from mom and dad's house. They got to stay with them because why? Why?
Relative incomes have increased.
Exactly. Here's the thing, is they have become accustomed to the lifestyle that you created for them.
Yep.
You created a lifestyle where, hey, it's okay, you got $100 here, we'll do it. They become accustomed to that. They don't want to give it up. So there are those things, so they become indebted. And so when we take a look at this slide, 60 to 70% of those in that 20 to 30 age range are in debt, compared to 39% of those 60 to 64 years old. Most folks 60 to 64 are either downsized, retired, and know that there are certain things that they cannot do. So now, let's talk a little bit about what is the link between mental health and finances. Well, here's the thing, I don't know if you can see that this on YouTube. But at the very top, mental health problems make it harder to earn money, manage money, and spending, and to ask for help. There's a lot of people, they don't want to ask for help. They don't want to ask the family. You know, you think that the family is the one that you can count on to help out when things get tough. That's how it used to be. No, mom, I need $100 because of life bills too. I need 50 for some groceries. And then my car payment is coming up too. So what's mom gonna do?
Help.
She gonna help. Exactly. So that leads to financial difficulty, not only now for the. Down here, well, not happening. Yeah, but leads to financial difficulty, not only for that child who you know, give this really wonderful life to, but for yourself. Because moms, you know, will go to the ends of the earth for their children. The third box, okay, financial difficulty causes stress and anxiety that's made worse by collections activities or going without essentials. Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. Stress. There's eustress and distress. Eustress is good stress. Then Sally just had a baby. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes. Well, then you got other situations. Stress. Now, distress, that's the one that we should be concerned about. That's the kind of stress that we're talking about. Distress. Lost my job. Got laid off. Can't make the car payment. Don't know what I'm going to do next month because I'm getting evicted from my home. Those kinds of issues, which now can lead to mental health problems. Here's the thing. There's something called the diathesis stress model. And what that is if I have a stressor in my life, combine that with some emotional thing that's going on, this could indeed lead to a psychological disorder. So now we can talk about mental health problems. The kinds of problems that we tend to see, things like anxiety disorders. Now, anxiety disorders, when we talk about anxiety disorders, we're really talking about something that is a future-oriented state or a past-oriented state. So I'm worried about what the future holds, or even present-oriented, worried about what's happening. So we tend to see a lot of people who are stressed with anxiety-related disorders. Depression is another one. People feel so sad they can't get up and go to work, or they go to work and can't function. And that's something that we call vegetative depression. People can't function. They don't function well. So when we talk more about statistics, 46% of people who have debt also have a psychological disorder, mental illness. So how many people do you think are in this room? Just roughly, if only not. How many? 75, she said. Now, let's say half of those 75 people are in debt. How many people was that?
38.
38. Of that 38, what do you think is going to happen? I think if we said the 38 people stand up in here, you'll probably have a society. That's the context in which we're talking about, what we're looking at, the number of people who are disabled from mental illness. People with depression and debt are 4 times more likely to still have debt 18 months compared to their counterparts without debt. So if you guys, you're depressed, you're still gonna have that depression a year and a half later. If you're in debt. If you're not in debt, then not so much. So some of those numbers, those with debt are 3 times more likely to contemplate suicide. And that is a waste on society. Human waste. We talked about the financial stress. This is the thing, if somebody is anxious, they don't go to work because they're afraid of having an anxiety attack or panic attack. They don't want to go. If they're depressed, they're so tired, or they're so down and out that they can't get up to go. So we have all sorts of psychological issues. When we talk about fatigue, well, tired. Okay, well, go to the doctor. Doctor, I'm so tired. Okay, let's do some blood work and things like that. And come to find out that guess what? Your fatigue is actually due to a mental disorder, depression, or whatever the case is. Yes, yes.
The doctor saying you can't do it. Yeah.
Right, right. Watch thinking about this. Good enough to do job, can't do this, I can't do that. So then they really start down spiral. The other thing on that is sleeplessness. You run into people who, man, I'm just not sleeping well at all. Well, one of the first things we want to find out is if there is a medical reason for it. What doctors want to do first? Find out if there's a medical reason for why someone is feeling the way that they are. Because it could very well be a medical disorder instead of a psychological disorder. So we want to make sure. And what you'll see is that most psychologists or other people in the healthcare field will make referrals to a primary care physician and say, this is what's going on. We help determine, evaluate what's happening. And basically, then you'll come up with either there's a medical reason or psychological reason. Then you can Here. Oh. So how do we cope with financial stress? I'm not even gonna ask if anybody in here right now is in debt. Yes. Not that you would tell me, I really don't know. But I raised the issue because you need to know what you are dealing with and what it could lead to if you don't deal with it. Does that make sense? Thank you, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so all these stressors and all these different. How many do you see in this room who find themselves being normal? And what is normal?
Good question. What is normal? Okay, it's the opposite of abnormal. I talked about what criteria for abnormal is. If you're functioning well, if you have good ego strength, and by that I mean you can cope well with tragedy strikes, that you do well with that you've got, what we call a high emotional IQ. Okay, you're good. When you can't function, when you have maladaptive reactions, whatever is going on in your life at that time, then that's when we need to be really concerned. And when we talk about the number of psychological disorders, I have what I would probably call the discipline of mental disorders, psychological disorders. It's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And I say that because there are probably, well, I'll put it this way, there is about 800 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, about all the psychological disorders. And it's broken down in categories. You have personality disorders, mood disorders. We tend to think of depression as the only depressive disorder, mood disorder there is. And it isn't. You know, we have major depressive, disorder, bipolar 1, bipolar 2, schizophrenia. So you've got 4 or 5 different disorders in one category. So there are a number of them, which is why you end up in school like I did, learning about all of those. So you can make a diagnosis. I was working with young ladies. And how many years it just me?
No, I'll thank you.
Okay.
That's my person.
All right. I worked with a young lady who came in and she said, I feel down, I feel depressed, I feel just I can't sleep, I'm tired all the time, I don't want to do anything. She was on an antidepressant because that sounds like depression, right? So I did a clinical assessment with her and asked her different sorts of questions. I assessed her for depression, but then I also assessed her for anxiety because the two mask each other. Anxiety and depression look an awful lot alike in you. You can tell anxiety, you cannot ask somebody to put assessment. Do you ever get sweaty palms? Do you ever have butterflies or knots in your stomach? Those kinds of things would lead you then to start looking at an anxiety-related disorder. So way too much information to tell you about now. But here's the thing, how to cope with it, find somebody to talk to. You certainly, if you have your members of your church, they'll come talk to you, but you may not feel competent or know exactly what to say. And so part of the thing is I heard talk today about developing relationships within the church. Know your members, know what it is they need, and then take a look at how you meet them. Are you going to be their therapist? No. Nope. But you might have a resource guide that you can hand to them that says, here's where you can go find services, and they might even ask, well, I'm looking for a person. Oh, okay, I got that too, here you go. So be a resource for them. Take inventory, tell them, work with them. Take inventory of your finances. I do a spreadsheet every month on my own. It's called, I think, Excel. So I've got everything lined up, and I'm blessed enough now that I don't have anything but a house payment. Praise God, yes. So take an inventory of what your finances are, what they look like, where you can move money around, where you need to pay off bills, pay them off so you can start paying towards the other. So for example, if I had a $200, let's say, lawn care, let's say I decide I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna eliminate that bill, but I'm still gonna take that $200 and put it all in another bill, so I can start to pay that one back. So we have to take a look at how to manage our finances. Create a monthly budget, stick to it. Because things happen. Well, I'd love to go to Hawaii, you've been saving money all along the road. Do something nice for yourself. That's part of the taking care of you that do. Manage your overall stress. Here's a quick scenario. I'm just going to read it. And then I want you to tell me a little bit about what you think. Mrs. B was distressed and confused by her financial situation. She lives alone and her husband had recently passed away. However, it became clear that the exact causes of this distress were difficult to ascertain. The family was called to try to identify the exact causes of the financial distress, but Mrs. B only talked about some money that went missing at the bank, and that she felt that nobody would or could help. She was very upset and anxious on the telephone. She said that she attempted to transfer $3,800 from one of her accounts to another in order to pay for her husband's funeral and make a small donation to her church in his memory. But that this money was never transferred, and the bank insists that she left the building with the money in cash, and Mrs. B insists that she never received it. You're her pastor, she comes to talk to you. Pastor, I was going to give $1,800 to the church in memory of my husband. Here's what happened. That's an error. What do you do? Call the bank. Okay. What else are you going to do? Talk to your family. Absolutely. So you start building a plan based on what we talked about here and work that plan, which includes talking to your family, checking with